Hey YouTube, another Taurus High Point production coming at you. Should I powder coat? Should I HITEK coat? Or should I just use a bullet sizing lube? If you have a disposable income, I guess any one of the first two will work. And what I mean by disposable income, you have, at least a couple $100 you can toss. You need to get a toaster oven. And if you're using the HITEK, you gotta have a couple other different chemicals besides the HITEK that you gotta purchase. Powder coating, you gotta at least have a toaster oven. A lot of the other stuff with that is pretty cheap, depending on the type of powder you go with. Yes. And you, of course, with the other chemicals you got to use involved with the HITEK solution, you got some sort of ventilation or respirator. Powder coat, you can just shake it in a bowl and toss it out, throw it in the oven. Now I've seen some of them turn it into a wet coat by adding a couple ounces of acetate to the bowl they were mixing. Depends on you. I got into black powder casting, round ball and stuff like that. Was looking for a decent lube for my black powder stuff. Something better than your Thompson's Boar Butter, or just flat out standard lard and beeswax, or tallow and beeswax, Crisco and beeswax. I ran into Recoil Therapy. He was making his own bullet lube, and seemed like a fairly interesting recipe. I tweaked mine a little bit from his, but it follows the same standards. 20 ounces of beeswax, 2 ounces of anhydrous lanolin. Anhydrous lanolin's your sticking agent. 1 pound either lard or Crisco or tallow and beeswax, however you wish. Lard, tallow, or Crisco, 1 pound. And then he uses 2 ounces of his canola oil in with his. I use 2 ounces of my ballistol. That was final part of my bullet lube recipe. Keeps fouling soft, keeps the letting down, almost non-existent letting with the black powder stuff. With the smokeless, it's not 100% smoke free, but it is better than the Alex, that stuff smokes like a woo. But my own bullet lube that I made up, it smokes a lot less than that. Whereas you might get a puff here and there. Unlike the deleted Alex, it's almost like pure white, and you gotta wait for that to dissipate before you can take your next shot, so you can see through it. It was almost as bad as black powder, the Alex, but that's my own opinion. Ooh, the homemade lube I use is a lot less. The smoke production wise, anyway. Is it the end all be all? No, I'm pretty sure those coatings work fairly well too. Your powder coating and your HITEK coating. That's whatever operation you really want to set up for. Okay, how much money you're willing to take out of your pocket. I would rather have the money to be able to put back into primers, powder, lead, rather than trying to figure out where am I going to get a toaster oven. Yeah, they're cheap enough. You can find them all over Facebook for $20-25. But if you look at it, that's anywhere from 5 to 10 pounds of lead in that $25. So what do I do? Me? I just went cheap, stayed cheap. Found that recoil therapy in that bullet lube he was making. Decided to give it a shot for my black powder stuff, and I've stayed with it. I've used it with my 9mm, my 3.56. I'm getting ready to use it on some 40 and some 45. To each his own, I will say. I'm liking it. It's not terrible. It's easy to make and it's easy to store. I'll show you all of that as I go along. This has been a Taurus High Point production. I'm quickly over. Do I bullet lube? Do I powder coat? Or do I HITEK coat? Whatever your heart desires. Me, I'm cheap. I'm going with the bullet lube. But then they say you get the lube and the wax and everything all over your sizers, and heaven forbid that I throw them in a pot of hot water with a little bit of degreaser, huh? That's me though. It's been a Taurus High Point production. I choose, therefore I am responsible.